Hey guys, how's it going? It is Eve, and today we are going to be taking a look at the EVE Vanguard Roadmap 2024 blog post that CCP has put out. I am a little bit late to the party, however, with the holidays and all that being said, let's get on with the blog post. So to start it off, recently EVE Vanguard First Strike saw the Legion take to the surface to help spread corruption in New Eden by fulfilling contracts on the front lines. This was back in December of 2023 where EVE Vanguard First Strike first launched. There's some videos on my YouTube channel in regards to that, especially the first 35 minutes of EVE Vanguard First Strike gameplay if you'd like to check that out. Overall, it was very well received, and definitely a lot of people had strong opinions and positive feedback when it came to EVE Vanguard. So one of the big issues, and this even reflected in my video in terms of comments from the viewers, is that a lot of people expected EVE Vanguard to be a completed game. EVE Vanguard is, well, going into it, we knew if you watch the EVE FanFest keynote that it is not going to be a fully fledged game. It is an alpha test of a game that is currently in development by CCP. And going forward, they are going to be bringing more advertisements to say that it is a game in progress. It is an alpha build. So to reiterate what CCP said, it is a alpha early access game. And it will be going forward until something changes. Performance-wise for EVE Vanguard, it did run flawlessly, despite me playing on a very high-end computer. Going into the January playtest, I'm going to switch it up and actually play on a very lower-end spec computer and see how that runs, because performance is everything in pretty much every single game. The overall atmosphere of the game received a lot of positive feedback, which everyone does say it does look stunning. It is a fantastic looking game as it stands right now, especially utilizing the Unreal Engine 5. The effects, the audio, and the map felt like New Eden. It felt like they took what a barren planet in New Eden would look like into account when making the map. Combat and gunplay, they were received pretty well from what CCP has stated, and it needs to be, because it is a FPS game first and foremost. That said, they received helpful suggestions and feedbacks on ways they can continue to improve the environment, such as geometry collision issues. There were definitely issues with that, which I don't believe I mentioned in my thoughts about EVE Vanguard video. But if you do watch any of my EVE Vanguard videos, you can see that I do have to do some random jumps here and there, but that's mainly due to collision issues. But once they figure out the collisions, it should be a whole lot better. Footsteps were also pretty quiet in terms of how it was done. Maybe if they could turn those up a little bit more, that would be great. So here is where I kind of dipped my toes into some of the tutorials for EVE Vanguard, but it being an alpha build kind of made no sense to continue making those videos, as an alpha build versus a final build of the game is going to really change a lot. And well, the game has no tutorials, and that is pretty true. A lot of it you had to jump into the game and really figure out what it is you had to do. Now that they're slowly going to be adding in tutorials for systems that are confusing, for example, how to get a contract or what does biomass do, hopefully moving on forward, it'll increase and provide a better quality of gameplay to the player. And now this is where I had pretty much the biggest gripe with EVE Vanguard, is the UI. There was zero sense in having one menu being mouse driven and the other being keyboard driven. Unify the UI. And it looks like CCP does take that into account, especially how, for example, like getting in and out of menus faster, ease of use of menus, and just overall just making sure the menus are fluent, because really trying to use your mouse in one and using your keyboard in the other makes zero sense. But moving forward, and then there has been a wealth of suggestions and discussions cropped up regarding potential future features of EVE Vanguard, including expanded movement, sliding, and mantling, which would have been great to see, especially mantling, because really you could only crouch, and sometimes the item or object you're crouching behind is a little too tall for you to aim over. Vehicles is going to be a big one, especially like it was in Dust 514. Orbital bombardment would be very cool to see, especially that they did get it to work in Dust 514. Same with vehicles. And while they are great, but for now, CCP goes on to say here that the main focus for now is continuing building the core gameplay. So to ensure that the fundamentals of EVE Vanguard work, CCP is just going to skip over vehicles and orbital bombardments for right now. Hopefully we'll see that later on. So this seems to have been an issue plaguing the community. However, I didn't really have too much problems with it. The installation went pretty well. I used the beta launcher that CCP provided us in the EVE Vanguard email, and I have multiple games that use Easy Anti-Cheat installed already, so it really didn't have issues on my computer, but it looks like Easy Anti-Cheat was causing issues. Custom keybinds, I didn't go about rebinding any keys or anything. The only real keybinds I did was through my Razer Synapses software, so it persisted no matter what. But it looks like if you change your keybind in EVE Vanguard, you would have an issue persisting your keybinds over multiple play sessions. Moving on to Boots on the Ground in 2024, which is the EVE Vanguard Roadmap. So the test in December has concluded, and with that comes our next playtest of January 25th to the 29th is the EVE Vanguard playtest. This is going to be a minor patch by the looks of it, which will include some bug fixes, some balancing, launcher and installation fixes, server support for 2 new regions, so Asia Pacific, which will be housed in Seoul, South Korea, and the South America server, which will be hosted in Sao Paulo, which is really nice to see that CCP is already pushing out servers in order for more of the EVE community to come play the test. There will also be tiered participation rewards, so in this case it'll be EVE shipskins, and leaderboard rewards, which will be Plex, so probably for most people killed or most contracts completed and stuff along that mark. Our next playtest, which will be after the January playtest, will be monthly, but there is no date yet, is the February playtest. This will be another minor patch, which will be focusing on bug fixes and balancing, probably from everything we get from the January test. Moving on to March, we'll have a minor feature update, which will introduce mining prototype. What that means, I'm not really sure. Maybe it'll have something to do along the lines of the nanite mining that we've experienced in the first game, or first playtest rather. There will be brand new contracts by the looks of it, additional contracts, suppression generation through Vanguard activity, so it looks like they're actually going to do the very first tie-in with New Eden, and that will be for corruption. Bug fixes and balancing, which is all going to come from our February playtest. Once again, you'll have tiered participation rewards, ship skins, and leaderboard rewards, which will be Plex. Moving on to April, once again, there is no date, but we'll let you know when those come around. There'll be bug fixes and balancing, mainly from our March playtest. Once again, tiered participation rewards, EVE shipskins, and leaderboard rewards. May will be the exact same thing as April, and February, which will just take the previous month's bugs and or balancing issues and really just bring them to a new pass. The big and most interesting one on the roadmap is going to be June. Once again, there's no date, but it's going to be our first major update to EVE Vanguard. Since its launch in December, we're going to be getting a new map, whatever that might be. Definitely going to be a build-up for that with the Deathless, and definitely a scope video. Weapon modifications, so probably scopes, different sights, different scopes, expanded magazines, who knows. The session persistence and fitting, so probably if you were to fit your character with a certain loadout, it will persist over different sessions. Additional activities and objectives, definitely related to our brand new map that we will be receiving. Bug fixes, balancings, definitely from our May, and well, and more. So definitely some CCP is building up to something, and we'll just have to wait and see. Once again, there's going to be tiered participation rewards, EVE shipskins, and if you make it to the leaderboard, there will be a Plex reward. That is really it for the roadmap. It's going to be a busy one. It's going to be kind of a lot of the same as CCP does work on the core mechanics. But that said, I'm excited for especially the March and June updates. Lastly, moving to the end of the blog post, if you have tested EVE Vanguard in December, you do get a free pod skin, and it is claimable in the new Eden store. Just make sure you pick it up before it expires at 23:59 UTC on January 15th. And well, that is it for the video, and well, we're just gonna have to wait a few more weeks before EVE Vanguard comes back around for more playtests. That's it for this video, you guys. Fly dangerous. Peace.